Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Kim Williams, Marketing Assistant at Cornerstone Autism Center. The content of this presentation was created by Sheila Edwards, our parent liaison. Today's presentation will cover how to fill out the application forms needed to apply for the Family Supports Waiver, also known as the Medicaid Waiver, for individuals with developmental disabilities living in the state of Indiana. The first form is called the Application for Developmental Disability Services. This means you're applying for the Family Supports Waiver. Under Application Information, fill in all of your child's personal information at the top. You will then list his or her Medicaid number if they have one, or leave it blank if they do not. Check whether or not they have Medicare. For marital status, check single if your child is not married. In the ethnicity section, check your child's ethnicity. For highest level of education, check the appropriate box. For children who attend an ABA center or those who aren't in school, you will probably check the 8th grade or less box. For applicants' housing situation, check the box that best fits where your child lives. For example, does your child live with his family, in a foster home, or on his own? For guardian information, you will fill out your own personal information if you are the child's parent or guardian. For age first disabled, you can put 0 or the age when they were first diagnosed. You can then describe in general how the disability affects your child's life. For example, you could list deficit areas such as self-care, learning, self-direction, capacity for independent living, receptive and expressive language, and mobility. Since the box doesn't give much room to elaborate, feel free to attach another sheet that lists specific skill deficits and areas of need, but this is not required. The next box asks you to indicate whether your child has been assessed by Vocational Rehabilitation Services, which assists with job skills training. Your child does not have to sign the form if they are not able to do so. You will sign and date the form as their guardian. The next form is titled Confirmation of Diagnosis. You will fill out the top portion with your child's personal information and leave the rest of the form blank. You will then take this form to a physician currently involved in your child's care, such as their pediatrician. The doctor must be an MD or DO, but does not have to be the diagnosing physician. They will fill out their portion of the form to confirm that your child has been diagnosed with a developmental disability, then give it back to you. It is advisable to wait for the doctor to return this form to you before mailing in your waiver application, so that you can send in all 3 forms together. This lessens the chance of the form getting lost, misplaced, or not meeting back up with the rest of your application. The final form is titled Authorization for Disclosure of Personal and Health Information. This is a HIPAA privacy form allowing the appropriate organizations to contact your child's doctor and verify his or her diagnosis. This tends to be the more confusing form of the 3. In the top section, fill out your child's personal information. After that, there are questions that ask what type of personal information will be disclosed, to whom, and for what purpose. For the first question, which asks what type of personal information will be disclosed, you can use the helper words given, as requested by the authorized organization. For the second question, which asks the purpose of the request, you can write, obtaining or using DDRS benefits/services. DDRS stands for the Division of Disability and Rehabilitative Services. For the next question, which asks, to whom are we authorized to disclose your personal information, fill in the name and contact information for the doctor that you had filled out the confirmation of diagnosis form. On the back of the form, you can check the box for BDDS, pronounced BEADS, Bureau of Developmental Disabilities Services, which is the organization you will mail your waiver forms to. For the question of when this form and its authorization will expire, you can write, when eligibility of services has been determined, and check the box, expire on this event. This means that once it has been determined that your child is eligible or ineligible for the waiver, this form will expire. Finally, sign your name at the bottom and write the date, and fill in your information as your child's representative. It is a good idea to make yourself a copy of all of your forms before mailing them to keep for your own records. In addition to mailing the 3 required forms, you can include a list of skill deficits, a recent IEP or IFSP if your child attends or has attended school, a diagnostic report from when your child was diagnosed with a developmental disability, and/or a treatment plan from an ABA center. These additional pieces of documentation are not required to apply. You only have to send the 3 waiver forms. So now you're ready to mail them. This handout lists the BEADS district offices. Find the county where you live and your corresponding district. For example, Johnson County is in District 5. So if you live in Johnson County, you would mail your forms to the District 5 address. On the envelope, you will write Bureau of Developmental Disabilities Services and then the address for your district. For example, if you live in Johnson County, your envelope will look like this. Be sure to put your return address in the top left corner of your envelope. You can include regular postage or mail your forms through certified mail, which will cost a little more. Sending your documents through certified mail will provide you with a mailing receipt and, upon request, electronic verification that the mail was delivered or that a delivery attempt was made. A few weeks after mailing your forms, you can call your district BEADS office to verify that they received your paperwork. If your child is over the age of 6, he or she will need to have a level of care screening before being placed on the waiting list. The BEADS office will contact you to schedule this meeting. Once your child is determined eligible, you will receive a letter stating that he or she has been placed on the waiting list. If your child is under the age of 6, then you will receive a letter in the mail stating that your child was placed on the waiting list after all of the forms have been received. It is important to keep the letter stating that your child is on the waiting list for your records. In instances where a name is lost from the waiting list, the letter will serve as your proof of the date of being put on the waiting list. If you don't have that proof and your child's name is lost, then you would need to resubmit the forms and start over at the bottom of the waiting list. Once your forms have been submitted, you can also check the status of your child's waiver application by visiting this link. If you have any questions about the process, need the forms, or need help filling out any of the forms, you can contact your regional BEADS office. A list of all offices by county are available at this link. This concludes today's webinar. We hope this resource helps you to navigate these forms and make you feel more comfortable completing the waiver application process. Thank you for joining us.